Good evening and welcome to A Slice of Life. I'm your host, Jim Therian. Tonight's subject is a bit of a celebration. We are celebrating, well, let the guests tell you what we're celebrating. I have with us from Old Saybrook, Sarah Makowicki. She's the land use assistant, and of course, Mr. Carl Fortuna, the Old Saybrook First Selectman. Welcome to A Slice of Life.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim, congratulations on your show. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And you were a former employee of the town of Old Saybrook, and we're happy to see you in your new role now.
Thank you. Under full disclosure, Mr. Fortuna used to be my boss while I was working at the transfer station.
Well, that just means you don't have to treat me nice anymore, because it used to be my boss.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Sarah, please tell us about what we're talking about tonight. Old Saybrook achieving a gold certification for the Sustainable Connecticut.
Yeah, it's a great celebration to have. We're only one of 2 towns in the state to achieve gold certification. It's a lengthy process. Over the years, we have slowly worked our way up, and this is the first cycle that we're able to have the gold certification. So to get it within the first year it's great. It's a great success.
Well, I was looking at the this certification document, and there's 39 pages here, and within these pages, there's multiple bullet points that you have to go through, and so kudos to you for achieving this. Is it attainable in 1 year, or do you have to work your way through the process?
So there is a 3-year look back. So we can go back 3 years and use any of the things that the town has been doing to fulfill the actions. Like you said, there's 13 categories. Within each category, there can be up to 10, 12 different actions. And then within those actions, there's sub-actions. So it's a lot of keeping track of what you've done, what you need to do. Everything needs documents to back it up. And then also a little write-up to how we achieved that action.
Now, are there points that are scored? How do we determine that you've reached the gold certificate?
Yes, so each of the categories and actions have points associated with them. It goes to a scoring panel and judging, and so they're the ones that award the points. We were lucky and we were able to achieve the most points ever for the program. And that is mostly due to the fact that we had such support from the Sustainable Connecticut team. Each action, it's a lengthy process to try to get all this done. But I was lucky last summer. I took pretty much the whole summer. I was allowed to do that, and I focused on making sure that we fulfilled this goal of gold certification.
Now, this may seem like a silly question, but what is the purpose of the Sustainable Connecticut and this gold certification? What does it do for the town?
So it allows us to be able to showcase the initiatives that are happening in town. A lot of these actions were already in the process. I just had to document them, which is really great. I think that Old Saybrook is in a unique position that we have the preserve, we have the marshes, we do a lot with the flood. So we have these ordinances and goals and all those things already in process that play into the sustainable CT format. So it's a way to, also there's a lot of grants involved, so we are able to either get access to more grants or they're just brought to our attention and we can use that. So it's a great resource for the town, I think. And we're able to work with other towns also and see what they're doing and see, help them out. After this gold certification, a lot of towns have reached out to me and asked if I could talk to their Sustainable Connecticut teams and kind of help them and encourage them.
Can we have the map, please? So we're going to show the map. And if we could just highlight on the gold certified and then click reset, that would be great. Because this is pretty, there you go. There you go. So here we have the map of Connecticut with the only 2 towns that are gold certified at this point.
Yeah.
And I have to give you a lot of credit because Old Saybrook, in comparison to New Haven, is a fairly small town.
Right.
And well, in fact, in the terms of points, you've gotten more points than New Haven, which is very, very impressive. So I would I'm glad you mentioned that people are coming to you. So there's clearly interest across the state saying, oh, I wanna up my game a little bit.
Yeah, I think that everybody's really wanting to work together towards this goal of sustainability. So towns can move forward with their economic and in their environmental, their emissions to really have towns that can sustain any type of, either natural disaster, economic disaster, anything like that, that we have now this great base to work off of.
Right.
And we're not starting at zero again if something, catastrophic were to happen.
Well, now that's a good question. So you got gold certificate in May of this year. Do you automatically get it next year, or
No.
you gotta step up?
We have, so every year the actions change.
Oh.
So you have either new actions or they take away actions. So you have to go through the process all over again.
Oh boy.
And it is a 3-year look back. So we have until 2027 to redo our certification. So until 2027, we will have gold certification.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Gives you a little breathing room.
Yeah.
It is good because Sarah is a highly educated person, and this is not her end goal in terms of life.
Right.
You're pursuing another career, actually.
Yeah, I'm a graduate student
Oh, wow.
at UConn.
She's currently a graduate student. So we've been very fortunate
Yeah.
to have Sarah. And Jim, to your point, it's very time consuming. And I think when we were just casually speaking earlier, you were talking about, gee, I'm surprised not every town is doing this.
Yeah.
Every town is not doing it because it takes a lot of effort in staff time, and time is money.
Right.
And in smaller towns, just like you were saying, in smaller towns, we don't always have staff to dedicate to this. And this isn't the only thing Sarah does, but Sarah was, she's a project manager a little bit for other projects, and she dedicated a lot of time to this. But New Haven has a full-time staff person doing this. We don't.
So you guys are shining, I would say.
I would say, and we are going to be feted at the Kate in September, is it, or November?
October, usually, yeah.
Somewhere in between. Somewhere between September and November. In October, we're going to have a Sustainable CT is going to be coming, and we'd love to have Cable Access cover that. If you guys with Valley Shore,
we can do that.
Cover that. We're going to be on the stage at the K, and Sustainable Connecticut is going to be awarding their awards for that year, and we're
we'll
doing.
definitely want to check that out.
We're doing it. So as Sarah, and I know she brought the our gold certification, but also the plaque there saying the actions have been going back to 2018.
Yeah.
So this is something that the town has been interested in for quite a long time. And I think one of the important points Sarah mentioned is something that we've been doing for a long time.
Right.
10 years, 12 years. These Sustainable CT and gold certification is not a political action item.
No.
It is what's doing right for the town.
Right.
Now, Sarah mentioned flood certifications. Our flood ordinances are sometimes developers don't like them as much because
That's a nice way of putting
yeah,
it.
but they're written for a reason. They're not written to make it hard to build. They're written to make it easier for the homeowner to get flood insurance once they build.
Right.
And to make the home more sustainable, more able to sustain a catastrophic event. And you know, we all know flood insurance is very difficult, but in Old Saybrook, when you're building new in a flood in an area where it might be prone to flooding, you have to go up a certain height, and and we are definitely a little bit more restrictive than other towns, but it's for good reason.
Right.
And that is something that the town has had in place for many, many years, and that has helped us get the gold certification. Not the only thing.
Right.
Other simple things, like years ago, we put in LED streetlights. We used
I did see that in the report.
so, and I'm just super quick example, and I want to turn it back over to Sarah, but we did not own our streetlights 10 years ago. We own, so the pole goes up, and then you have an arm,
Right.
and then you have the streetlight. So we own the arm and the streetlight. We don't own the pole.
Well, who would have
Okay.
ever thought that?
Right. We were paying Eversource $150,000 a year 10 years ago.
Wow.
Just to say, if there's a street light out, we call Eversource and say, Eversource, street light out on pole number 1000. And they go out and fix it. We pay them for the energy and for the maintenance. We bought the street lights and converted them all to LED. They used to be, I think, sodium phosphorus, whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but it was an energy consuming light. Now we have LED street lights. As you know, they're not energy consuming as much.
Right.
We spend $50,000 a year on street lights, and
Wow.
that includes maintenance.
Yeah.
So our energy bill and maintenance is less than $50,000 a year. It used to be $150,000 a year. So that is good for the town economically.
Right.
We're saving $100,000 forever. And it's good from an energy perspective
Right.
because we're a cleaner burning town now.
There you go.
So
I just found it amazing that you could buy the street lights.
1,100 of them
Wow.
Yeah.
in our little town.
Yeah. Who would have ever
1,100 streetlights.
thought?
Yeah.
So who changes the lights now?
We have a contractor.
Oh, okay. All right.
Who, you know, if a light comes out or goes out,
Right.
we tell him what pole number, and he has his bucket truck, and he goes out and
He goes
fixes
out and
it
fixes
and
the light.
buys a new light.
Wow.
Very simple.
But that initiative happened quite a few years ago.
15, 14, yeah.
And we were able to use it in this cycle because we are still doing that program.
Right,
So
right.
there are certain actions that and initiatives that we can recycle, and you know, as long as we are keeping up and we are evolving within that
Now,
action.
does that mean the next certification is going to have more challenges because
Yep.
these are old programs that have been
Yeah.
utilized already?
So usually the point score goes up and the actions
Oh.
change a little bit. But I mean, that's always the case with sustainable, you know,
Right.
it's always changing. Like Carl was saying about the flood ordinance, that was one thing that pushed us over the edge with our climate leader
know that.
certification. I didn't have that on our original application. And the Sustainable Connecticut women came to me and said, hey, you can use this on your certification. And that is what really
So they helped
pushed
you
us.
through the
Oh my
process.
gosh.
Yeah, they do.
I had, you know, Zoom calls with them probably once a month. They had a spreadsheet for me that had outlined all of the actions and what I needed to do. They are amazing, and it's a great organization to be partnered with.
When I first heard Sustainable Connecticut, I thought, all right, planting natives,
Yeah.
recycling,
Yeah.
do something with your trash.
Yeah.
But there's
Well,
a lot of human
there's that
factor
too.
Yes.
involved.
So a big portion of it also is the economic.
Yes.
And we have a great economic development department.
Yep.
And, you know, they had a huge marketing campaign that they got ARPA money and they were able to really push the town out there. And it benefits, our Main Street. It benefits all of the local, business owners, but also it brings business into town. People are saying, hey, this, town is booming. Like, let's go there.
Yeah.
One of the other things is that I did inventory of all of Main Street. So all the businesses, we have all of their contact information, and I use that with an equity lens. So I made sure when I sent out, to get information from them, that I asked questions like if there was any disabled owners, if there was veterans, if it's women owned, and all that. Those little questions are what pushes you over for equity.
So you get points for all those.
Yes. It's just, we have to do 4 equity actions. So what
is an equity action?
Sure. It's just making sure that you hit all people. So you have your list of stakeholders. We did our plan of conservation development and we put out a survey. And to make sure that we had equity within that, we brought it to the senior housing, but we made sure that it was in paper form because they're not going to necessarily be able to go online and fill out the questions. We made sure we had it in Spanish, so any Spanish speakers could, fill it out in Spanish.
You actually have a lot of Spanish speakers in town.
Yeah, and we brought it to the Social Services Help Day so that those that maybe not have internet access or access to the town website would know about the survey and be able to give input to the town about the plan of conservation and development, which is a big plan that lasts 10 years. It's kind of our roadmap for the next 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's reaching out and you need someone to do that.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. And, and Sarah did a lot of that work. And so we were very fortunate.
Which is probably why some of the smaller towns aren't participating yet.
Yeah. And
it's hard.
It's also, again, Sustainable Connecticut, Sarah, maybe you can talk a little bit about who they are and where their funding comes from. And because you say Sustainable CT, and who are they?
Right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that,
Yeah, so it was started by Lynn Stoddard and her husband, and they kind of reached out to communities. The Green Bank is involved. There's a few other institutions that are also involved. They're more economic or environmental, and said, hey, how can we highlight these towns? And they got feedback from a lot of towns that then became stakeholders in this and said, hey, we want to participate. This is beneficial to us. And it's not like Carl was saying, it's not a political organization. It's just an organization of people that say, hey, there's all these resources out there. There's grants, there's, working with other towns. Let's figure out a way to, allow these towns to highlight what they are doing. And now I can go and look at a different town and say, hey, what did they do? And really work off of that. In each of the actions, there are kind of highlighted certain towns that went above and beyond what was expected. And those are a great resource when you're like, I don't know what to use for this action, or I don't know what initiative to do now. And to be able to see what they have done. So. And
Sustainable has so many different meanings, just like you were saying, Sarah. I mean, sustainable economically, sustainable environmentally, sustainable from what are you doing about pollution and food scraps and all those things. So it has many different meanings. That's what I like about the program.
I think that's very good.
It's very comprehensive.
So now, and we're going to digress a little bit here. I have been to many town meetings and hearing you speak of getting all these grants,
Yeah.
there's apparently a lot of grant money to be had.
Yes, a lot.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Carl talks about grant money here, grant money there. You mentioned grant money.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up on that theme, may I?
Of course.
So the town finished its fiscal year on June 30th, and we're probably going to have a surplus.
Right.
Okay? One of the things we're going to do is put some money aside, and we're thinking about like $50,000 for grant writing. You know why? Because we're a smaller town, and it's hard to find the people on staff to have the time to do the grant writing.
Right.
So Jim, to your point, there's a lot of money out there, and we want it. We want to pursue.
Well, that sounds really good.
It does sound good because, so we just received a grant, a trails grant for Saybrook Point.
Right.
And we're going to make Saybrook Point much more pedestrian friendly by doing that. $366,000.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
Right.
We tried for it in 2023 and we didn't get it, and we did get it this year. So there is money out there. There's grant money from DEP, DOT, OPM, all these, these acronyms
soup,
and alphabet soup. And so we want to put some money aside for grant writing, and it may help, whether it's Sarah or the next person, to maintain our sustainability at a gold level.
Yeah.
And then the other end of the spectrum, I wrote a grant for $5,000 for a DOT grant that is, we're going to bring bicycle helmets and bike safety and, bike lights and stuff like that to the kids.
Right.
And it was $5,000, and it was an afternoon of my time to be able to write it up. But we got it, and they said,
So great.
And they said, apply for this one now and apply for that.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So, now we're able to get more money that we didn't know was out there. So
Right.
it's the little ones that are $5,000, and it's the big ones that are $366,000.
But $5,000 in bike helmets and bike lights, that's
Yeah.
a lot of bike helmets and bike lights.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
kids. And Jim, I live downtown, you live near downtown. I mean, these are kids that are going to the Goodwin School and to the middle school.
Right.
And they're riding their bikes in busy areas, so it's really great to have that safety. And one other thing that Sarah, I'm going to pick up on that she just mentioned is when you apply for a grant with the state and the state puts money into your community, and then you apply for the next grant after you show them what you did with that grant, they're willing to double down. They like it when they see their money put to good use. And so sometimes by getting the grant money and getting out there and putting in that application and getting that grant, the state's going to say, you're on the map, and we want to double down in your community because you're doing good things.
Wow.
And that's part of what we're trying
You're
to do.
using the money they're giving you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they like to see it put to great use.
Yeah.
We were told to apply for a grant now that is more like I think $100,000 or $150,000 to do a survey of all the intersections and streets so that we can have safe bike or pedestrian
Right.
lanes in the town. So it's great. It opens up doors.
Well, I will say that bicycle helmets are very important. I was riding my bike many, many years ago in Milford, and I don't know by accident or by on purpose, but somebody threw a bottle at me and it just kind of glanced off my head. But a little bit faster, a little bit slower, I would have got hit hard. So
Yeah.
I think bike helmets are very important.
And kids generally do wear them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they also have an expiration life. Bike helmets expire, and
This I did not know.
yeah, and I think the bike helmet that you have from 10 years ago is probably no
Probably
longer,
dead, yeah.
and they want you to get a new helmet. And I don't think that's just the industry trying to sell more bike helmets. I think there's better technology out that makes your protecting your head a little bit safer when you buy that new helmet.
Okay, so
Anyway,
we're going to
we
wrap up
digress.
now. No, that's okay. That's okay. You're the guest.
Passionate about this thing.
We're going to wrap up now. Gold certification, Old Saybrook, one of two in the state.
Yep.
outscoring New Haven by 85 points. I feel compelled to mention that. I think
you.
that it's kind of like it gives you a feather in your bonnet,
Sure
so to speak,
does.
that you've done an outstanding job.
Yes.
And clearly, Carl has supported you all along the way.
I've had a lot of support
Yeah,
from the town,
yeah.
so it's been great.
And by the way, I appreciate that, but from also Chris Costa, Land Use Director,
Lynette
and everybody
Wacker.
in that, and Lynette Wacker, who is
Right.
also in that office. And I've said this in my monthly updates that I do with Valley Shore Community Television.
Right.
Sarah McAway, I mean, it looks good for the town, but she's heard me mention her name in other programs because she did such a great job. I give her a shout out wherever I
Well,
go.
you're
And I
clearly
appreciate it.
a very capable young lady, and so
Thank you.
we're grateful to have you here in Old Saybrook.
Thank you for having us.
Well,
It's great.
I'm going to close now.
Okay.
So once again, thank you for coming on to A Slice of Life. I think these things that we explore are so very important, and hopefully a lot of people will watch this show and say, you know, there's a lot going on at Town Hall, and this is one of them.
Well, with your permission, we may put it on the town website and share it on our pages.
Well, you know, I'm always in search of a bigger audience, so you go right ahead.
Yeah.
You go right ahead. All right, so that's it for tonight. Old Saybrook Gold Certification, Sustainable Connecticut. Another outstanding job by Sarah Makowicki and Carl Fortuna, First Selectman. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you.